Welcome back. You with us here on Opening Fire. You got just about 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go for start today. Prashasta Seth is joining us right now. And he's CEO at IIFL Asset Management Company Limited. Prashasta, good morning. Thanks very much for your time. Would you be able to comment on this deal? It's not a deal, but the open offer by Fairfax for IIFL?
No, unfortunately not, Prashant. I think it's better that the official spokesperson of the company gives a comment on this.
I thought so much. I just thought I'll give it a shot. What is your view on the market, Prashasta, now?
My sense is it's going to be fairly range bound, I think, and it will move in line with what is happening globally. I think my sense is that earnings season will still continue to be fairly weak, and I think the green shoots might still be at least a quarter away in terms of companies coming in and saying that things are improving on the margin. So my sense is earnings might be weak. Companies might still not come and say hugely positive things. I think people will worry on what's happening in the monsoon session, whether the land acquisition bill and GST bill is getting passed or not. So I think there are a lot of factors that will keep any significant up move from where we are at this point of time. Similarly, I think on the downside, I think unless things go bad globally, I think you would see reasonable money coming in at lower levels. Now, with the volatility that we have seen in China, I think it's unlikely that Chinese A shares will be included in MSCI anytime soon. And that kind of takes a bit of an overhang from the Indian markets. So my sense is, we will continue to kind of chug along, be very fairly volatile, be range bound, and then wait for earnings to come. And as and when they come, that's when the next leg of movement for the markets will come. Till then, I think we could just be, fairly volatile and in a range.
Okay, I think there's about a couple of seconds to go for the market open. So let's just read out the prices as we get them. And then I'll come back to you, Prashasta. Gaurang is with us here as well. But the prices should be up there. That's the opening bell. PNB starts about 0.25% higher, becomes flat straight away. Yes Bank is up now again, losing very quickly, being flat. Tata Motors is flat, slightly higher. Vedanta is flat, slightly higher. It's actually the same story on the opening names. Axis Bank is up 0.18, ITC is up 0.16, NMDC is up 1%. TCS is at about 25.11, flat but slightly higher. Nifty is down 4 points, Sensex is down 8 points. That's the opening. Mahindra is flat but higher. Lupin is flat but lower. Hero MotoCorp is up 0.25%. That's a 6 rupee move on a 2600 rupee name. Ultratech is down about 0.25%, 3157. SBI is down 0.6. ICICI Bank is down 0.25. Tata Motors is back under 400, down about 1%. ONGC is down 0.6%, 289. IndusInd Bank is up another 4 rupees, that's 928, 0.5% now. Coal India is up 0.75%. BOB is down, that's Bank of Baroda down 0.4. GAIL is up 1%, 377. ITC is up 0.33%, 315.6. Vedanta down about 0.25, 147.2. Tata Steel is down a little bit. PNB is down 0.17. BPCL is up about 0.25, 912. Dr. Reddy's is up about 1.3%, 3808. 3805 now. HCL Tech is down 0.5%, so that's 955. L&T is starting down 0.6, I think. IIFL Holdings up 17-18%. It's crossed the 500,000 share mark. 222 is what IIFL Holdings is trading at this point. So Fairfax Fund India, I think, which is $1 billion. It raised $1 billion at the beginning of the year. That is making an open offer to buy 26% at a price which is at about a 4-5% premium to yesterday's closing price on IIFL Holdings. But the stock is surging. Tata Power is up about 0.4%, 0.5%. HDFC Bank is down a little bit. GMR Infrastructure, SL Propack. SL Propack, some news there. 63,000 shares. So that's reacting. HUL is up about 0.4%, 18 points off on the Sensex. The Nifty is down about 10 odd points or so. 2 minutes into market open. What else? Grasim, Bajaj Auto, Hero MotoCorp, Bosch is down 0.5%. ACC is down about a quarter. You got, I think we're looking at some of the broader market names as well. I think Dr. Reddy's, I'm being told, is a top gainer on the Nifty at this point. So 3803, 3804. And Tech Mahindra is up about 1% as well. I mean, Tech Mahindra sold off from the 483, 484 kind of levels. So that's reacting. The other brokerage names, I mean, Edelweiss is up 5%. We could look at Geojit, we could look at Motilal, we could look at, some of the others there as well. I mean, a lot of them listed, LKP and lots of companies which are actually listed from that space, all reacting favorably to that news of a open offer for 26% in IIFL Holdings. So that's what's going on. 40 points off on the Sensex now, and about 13, 14 points off on the Nifty is what you've got. Prashasta, earnings, are you expecting any growth at all at an aggregate market level in Q1?
I think yes, it will be a positive number, but I think it could be, mid-single digits is what we are kind of expecting on an aggregate basis. Actually, when I'm talking about aggregate, I'm talking more kind of a large cap base. We don't have a number on, let's say, the entire market, but I think the large cap Nifty Sensex earnings could be, somewhere between, 5% to 10% kind of a growth in terms of PAT. I think revenue growth might be lower because of the fact that there has been, a lot of deflation because of fall in commodity prices. So that could be lower, but my sense is earnings will grow in single digits.
Prashasta, just hold the thought as well. So we'll see how this transaction goes through. But that's IIFL Holdings. The stock is surging. I mean, 17% higher at this point. So that's that. Prashasta, you obviously can't talk about IIFL, but have you owned any sort of broking stocks in the past? Any NBFCs in the past which also do broking? But my question is predominantly brokers which might also have other lending activities.
No, unfortunately, we haven't. So we have been owning NBFCs, but they haven't been on the broking side of the business. See, that we haven't kind of focused more on the lending side, because I think that's where I think the growth is more certain, and it's more the longevity of the growth outlook is far clearer. And that's why we kind of own NBFCs which are focused on lending activities and not on the broking side of the business.
Okay. I remember looking at the IIFL Holdings was about 70-ish rupees. I'm actually looking at the chart now. This is sometime in at the beginning of 2014, and it was back then it was trading at about just under one-time book. So that's beginning of 2014, a year down. It's from 70, it's at about 216, 217. I mean, the story of the market, basically. For a lot of the names, the move has been absolutely spectacular. You can put up charts of Motilal Oswal and a few others as well. You'd see a similar kind of trend. But IIFL, at that point, did look like a pretty interesting kind of a stock, just purely based on the book and the business, etc. 15, 16 points on the Sensex. So we're down 40, now down about 12. So there is already a bit of a pickup, a pullback which is happening. So absolutely flat now, actually. 8,455 is what you've got at this stage. Prashasta, do you own IndusInd Bank?
Prashant, we can't talk about individual names, but we own a lot of banking names, but
you own private banks, yes.
Can't comment on individual names.
Okay. Broadly speaking, but not talking about buying or selling IndusInd Bank. What did you make of the numbers?
Prashant, I think commenting on individual names, I think from a compliance becomes issue. So unfortunately, I would would want to avoid that.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Now, what did you make of the inflation numbers yesterday, Prashasta? And what does it mean for the RBI policy?
Inflation numbers obviously surprised on the negative side. I think even the higher service tax rate and also unseasonal rains kind of don't fully justify the kind of levels that we have seen on the inflation numbers. So I think it was a negative surprise, and it obviously raises the bar for RBI to cut the interest rates. We were earlier expecting it to happen in October. Now I think it becomes slightly more difficult, and we'll have to see on how the inflation numbers look like over the course of the next 1 or 2 months. But it has been a negative surprise, and I think we'll have to see the next 1 or 2 more months data more carefully to see whether it's a trend or it's a one-off.
Is there any thoughts that RBI might do anything on the beginning of August at its policy meeting, or you expect them to stay on hold?
No, I think it has to be on hold. I think people had some hopes that inflation is falling, and that's the reason RBI might cut in. But I think yesterday's reading has kind of taken out whatever little hopes people had on RBI acting in the August policy. So I don't think RBI will, do anything till it has fully seen the effects of inflation, and also what has the impact on the markets on the rise in Fed rates. I think those are the two factors that RBI would want to watch and see and understand fully before taking the next step on the inflation, on the tax front. Having said that, our sense is that given the fact that that globally there is so much deflation at some point over the course of the next 3 or 6 months, I think inflation will fall sufficiently. It will undershoot what RBI's trajectory is towards inflation, and once RBI is confident of that, and also the impact on of the US Fed rate hike as and when it happens, I think you might see bigger cuts happening at that point of time rather than incremental steps being taken by RBI over the next 2 or 3 months.
Okay, got that. Prashasta, thank you very much for coming in. Gaurang, appreciate you joining us as always. Thanks for staying on. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back in 2 minutes. Taimur Beg is joining us on the other side.